All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Professor James Malazita. I am the Associate Director of the Games and Simulation Arts and Sciences program in the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences at Rensselaer Polytechnic. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the graduate programs in critical game design. The graduate programs are offered as either a master's degree, including a fifth-year coterminal option for current undergraduate students at RPI, or as a PhD program. So the critical game design program came out of a need that we faculty in the Games and Simulation Sciences program had identified, where we had seen a lot of students and faculty being trained either in the production of gaming technologies and video games, or in the cultural study of game narratives, game objects, and game culture. And what we were interested in doing was figuring out a way to academically and intellectually bridge these two traditionally separate disciplines. And so the critical game design program at RPI is our effort at doing just that. And it's unique in the United States and possibly even in the world because of this unique dual fusing of inquiry and practice that we bring to games. And so the mission of our program is that it's, as I mentioned, the study of games as cultural and historical objects are generally separated from game design technical practice at other institutions. The critical game design programs here bridge this divide by combining critical theory of game studies with design practice. We do this by drawing on our multidisciplinary games faculty expertise across arts practice, media studies, science and technology studies, computer science, cognitive science. And our curriculum presents a unique fusion of critical, reflective, and historical approaches with game design practice. At both the master's and PhD levels, the critical game design programs are designed to facilitate and graduate entrepreneurial, critical theory savvy game developers who work to change the face of games research and the games industry. Our programs offer students what others don't provide, a games as research-oriented education that synthesizes game studies research, critical theory, and other scholarly bodies of literature with production-focused skills training. So in short, rather than having to pick between studying games or making games, our program allows you to do both. And so we have three major pillars of the critical game design program. The first is providing a research-based curriculum. So we provide students with uniquely research-focused game study experience by building faculty-student co-research activities directly into the curricula at both the master's and PhD levels. The curricula are centered around the dual pillars of teaching and incorporating foundational texts and methods across all of our design classes and connecting students with faculty research projects in games and interactive media. We'll talk about this a little bit when I talk about each of the specific classes that you'll be taking as either a master's student or a PhD student. But across all of the curriculum, you're engaging with core game studies texts, core games development practices, and also participating in research projects alongside other graduate students, faculty members in games, and at times also leading teams of undergraduate students as well, because game production is such a heavily team-focused practice. A second major goal of the program is the ability to use games to address grand challenges that impact global society. So again, one of the goals of the critical game design program is that when you begin studying games or when you treat games as a cultural artifact, we assume that games aren't just things that are done for fun and for entertainment, but actually communicate important issues, can teach and educate folks about systems and other elements of society, and more broadly feed back into broader social and cultural dynamics. And so we center some of these ideas that games can be used to address major issues and social issues at the heart of our graduate program. And so the proposed graduate programs that you may join draw upon our focus and using games interactive media to address these challenges. Some of the challenges that faculty are already addressing through the development of games practices are threats to biodiversity and health and the environment, such as the World of Plankton project developed by Dr. Kathleen Ruiz. Building empathy among diverse persons in diverse worlds is some of my own work. Immersive language learning, headed by Dr. Helen Zhao and Dr. Ben Chang, as well as cultural heritage and preservation, among others. And finally, one of the major goals of the program is advancing diversity and inclusion. So critical game design incorporates essential elements of cultural theory and the social sciences into design classes in order to develop games that act as a force for positive change across diverse audiences. Our programs aim to be accessible to a wide diversity of students and produce graduates with a broader sense of how vital diversity and inclusion are to the future of the games field and society as a whole. And when we talk about diversity of students, we mean demographic diversity, we mean racial diversity, we mean religious and gender diversity, but we also mean disciplinary diversity as well, right? So bringing together social scientific, humanities, arts, computer science, cognitive science students together, all of these different elements of game design practice that are typically treated as separate, and rather bringing them into conversation with one another. And so what I'm going to do now is discuss more in detail both the master's program in critical game design and the PhD program in critical game design, and how they work and how they're set up. So you're going to notice as I go through a couple of these slides that there are some strong overlaps between the master's and PhD program. That's intentional, but also broadly, each of these programs has their own unique focus, ideally to meet the needs of master's students versus the needs of PhD students. So I'm going to start off by talking about the master's program, which, as I mentioned, can be taken as either a standalone one-year master's program, or if you're currently an undergraduate student at RPI, you can enroll as a co-terminal degree and add a 5th year onto your RPI education and graduate with a bachelor's and your master's degree in critical game design. So the master's program in critical game design is focused in teaching students how to apply insights from critical work directly to the production of new types of game designs, and also allows students to be well positioned to enter the games industry, independent game development spaces, or to continue their education at the doctoral level. So at the master's program, we assume that many of the students interested aren't necessarily interested in sticking in the academy as some of our PhD students might be, but are interested in going back into industry, working at large game companies, or starting their own independent studios. The curriculum that we offer for the master's program reflects that focus. So each program or each semester in the one-year master's program is a 15 credit semester that includes 4 classes and 3 credits of a master's project, again, each semester. The way that we typically break apart the curriculum is each semester you have one what we call core class in the critical game design program, one topics class in the critical game design program, a humanities, arts, or social science elective that you as a student determine based upon your own research interests and production interests, and then a free elective that's also determined based upon your own research and production interests. So just really quickly to go through, the first core class that you take in critical game design is Game Studies Theory and Praxis. This introduces major game theorists and explicitly ties them to design practice. It also involves doing basic paper prototyping and early stage prototyping of critically inflected games, as well as writing a research paper around critical game design practice and research. The next class that you'll take is a rotating topics games research course. These courses are what we call our vertical studios. They topically differ each semester based upon the faculty member who's teaching it, and tend to be tightly coupled to that faculty member's expertise. So this semester, for example, we have a historical simulation in gaming topics course that's offered to advanced undergraduates, master's students, and PhD students, taught by Dr. Maurice Suckling. So these courses allow students over the course of their curriculum to get a better understanding of different approaches to critical game design research topics and research methods, as well as to work in a more hands-on, team-focused environment around a narrower and more specific research focus. The next 2 courses, one is an elective in humanities, arts, and social sciences. So again, this is determined more by your own research interests in conversation with your faculty advisor. So this could be anything from strengthening your current strengths. If you have an arts background and you want to take some courses in our electronic arts PhD program, you're able to do that as a way of strengthening some of your artistic expertise. This can also be viewed as a way of supplementing areas of expertise expertise that you weren't exposed to in your undergraduate program. So again, if you're an artist, but you're more interested in some of the technological or programming aspects of game design, you might take additional courses here in cognitive science or computer science. And so that's a decision made by you and your advisor. The last two are free electives. So this is similar to the Haas Select, but is open to classes across the entire institute rather than just the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. We also heavily suggest for master's students that at least one of your free electives be taken with the Lally School of Management with an entrepreneurial focus, so that way you're learning, the academic side of critical game design, you're learning some practice-based research, but you're also learning some of the entrepreneurial and business elements of game design as well, so that when you leave with your master's degree, you're able to either jump right into a larger studio or possibly even strike out on your own and start your own entrepreneurial small game development studio. Finally, you have master's project credits. I'll talk about that in 1 second. In the spring semester, you take critical game design research methods, which I offer, which is a survey of game research methodologies. So figuring out what it means to do research with and through games. And then the rest of your semester is mirrored with your fall semester, a rotating topics course, a Haas elective, and a free elective. Your master's project is an independent research project that you as a master's student undergo for a full semester or a full year under the guidance of a selected faculty advisor. So often we think of the master's project as a hands-on project that has a research focus. So you're answering some sort of research question. It requires a literature review. It requires a presentation of hands-on material. And it also requires putting together a team of advisors, including a primary faculty advisor, but also other faculty members from across the institute to help you answer your research questions and build a game project that goes into your portfolio. So this year we have students, for example, exploring experimental game narratives, experimental game art, new ways of thinking about relationships between neuroscience and the brain, all through engaged game design projects that are conducted under a faculty supervisor. And so this is kind of your major research thesis that you take throughout the 1 year of the master's program. The PhD program, in contrast, has a completion length of 4 to 5 years, and we typically assume that students in the critical game design PhD program are more interested in going either continuing in academia or working on as research-oriented members of teams in places like think tanks, governmental sectors, or other areas of industry that require games research methods. And so at the PhD level, students learn and apply game studies, user-centered design theory, critical design in the digital humanities, as well as qualitative research methods to game production in order to contribute to scholarly bodies of research in interactive design fields. Graduates of the PhD program will be prepared to enter academic positions as researchers and teachers, as well as to contribute to the games industry as entrepreneurs, practitioners, and consultants. So again, this is a bit more of an academically focused and academically rigorous program than the master's program. And we're assuming that the primary focus of your career that you're interested in is moving into a research position, either in the academy or in industry. So you might notice that the first year of the critical game design curriculum for PhD students is essentially a mirror of the first year for the master's program. We did this intentionally so that PhD students and master students get to work together in their first year. So you'll take the same game studies core classes, the same topics in games research core classes, and then an elective of your choice to be determined in consultation with your program faculty and your dissertation chair. You might also notice that there's slightly less credits involved your first year in the PhD program than there was in the master's program. This is because we're expecting that PhD students are also beginning to work towards the beginnings of their dissertation proposal, as well as are either funded by a research project that a faculty member is working on, or through a teaching assistantship or other type of research assistantship. And so part of your job as a PhD student is actually to contribute back to the intellectual life of the university. The second year of the Critical Game Design PhD program mirrors the topics courses and the research credits and elective courses, but also introduces you to 2 more advanced core game design courses. So the first one that you take in the fall of your second year is titled Critical Game Design, History, Theory, and Futures. This course is designed to help students prepare for their qualifying exam. The qualifying exam is a major literature review and research essentially breadth of research demonstration that you'll undergo sometime before you complete your second year of your studies, that essentially demonstrates to the faculty and to Rensselaer that you have gained a mastery in the different literatures and the different research methods that contribute back to what it means to be an academic in critical game design. And so Critical Game Design, History, and Theory Futures is designed to really help you prepare for those exams. Finally, in the spring, you also take a new course called Advanced Game Design and UX Methods. So this is kind of the capstone project-based course for your classwork in your PhD program that delves much more deeply into theoretically informed topics in game usability, interface design, and UX. And so you might be working through the intersections of class and usability, race and gender and interface design, disability and usability, human-centered design methods, right? So really taking some of the production work that you've done in prior design courses throughout your education and really bringing them to a higher level. So if you're interested in applying to either the master's program or the PhD program, the application deadlines for this upcoming cycle are both January 1st, 2021. So have that in your calendars. For both the MS and the PhD program, we have shared application requirements. So first, we require a personal statement. This is a discussion of where you're coming from academically or from industry, why you're interested in getting a PhD or a master's degree, and most importantly, why you're interested in the critical game design programs. So both in terms of what research questions are you interested in answering, both at the master's or the PhD level, as well as what is it about the program that you find fits your academic and career interests. We also ask for 2 letters of recommendation, not necessarily from faculty at other universities, but these tend to be letters of recommendation from other research faculty, a resume or curriculum vitae, a transcript of your prior grades and degrees, examples of prior work, and we mean this broadly, so this could be examples of a prior art portfolio or prior game design work done, or if you've been focused more on the social, scientific, and cultural studies side of game design or studies, and you're interested in boosting the technical side through our program, submitting things like research papers, thesis manuscripts, and other written academic work is also totally fine for an example of prior work. In fact, you're required to do this with at least 1 writing sample. So again, even though both the master's and PhD programs have heavy production components to it, they also have heavy writing components to them as well, right? Because in this program, you are both thinking and doing, and one of the best ways that we have of communicating thoughts and kind of bridging the types of theoretical readings that you'll be doing with your design work is through articulating those bridges through writing. And so we do expect that you'll be able to have some basic writing abilities. In a normal year, Rensselaer requires GRE scores for the application for fall of 2021. Because of the COVID pandemic, we are temporarily waiving the GRE requirements. And you can find more about the institute admission guidelines at the web link below, which is, or just go to admissions.rpi.edu/graduate, and that will get you to where you need to go. Just as a quick introduction, an important thing to, no matter if you're in the master's program or the PhD program, is that you'll be closely advised by at least 1 faculty member in the games program. So at the master's level, you'll be closely advised by a single thesis advisor. At the PhD level, you'll be closely advised by a single dissertation committee chair, as well as 3 other faculty members in games and simulation arts and sciences. And so all of this information is available on the RPI GSAS website, which I'll direct you to in a second. but just a quick rundown of the faculty members we currently have here and their research foci. So Mei Si, who is our graduate program director, focuses on game AI and narrative. Ralph Noble, psychology of games. Nick Miser is an anthropologist and works around world building, collaborative imagination, analog games, and Dungeons and Dragons. Rob Hamilton is a musician about focusing on game music and sound and virtual reality. James Malazita, who myself, it's cultural studies of game engines, social justice, and social theory. The director of the program, Ben Chang, focuses on virtual reality, art games, and games for learning. Professor Eric Amarez focuses on game engines and architecture, robotics, and data visualization. And Professor Robert Nedifer focuses on virtual environments and behavior, technology and culture, as well as contemporary social theory. We also have Professor Sylvia Ruzanka, who focuses on aesthetics, new media art, philosophy, and animation. Kathleen Ruiz, who's an artist who focuses on eco-resilience, empathy, philosophy of games, and AR, VR, and mixed reality. Dr. Maurice Suckling, who's a narrative designer, focusing on narrative in games, different types of storytelling, wargaming, and history in games. And finally, Dr. Helen Zhao, who focuses on game-based learning and instructional design. So if you're interested in either applying or knowing more about the game design programs, feel free to contact any one of these 3 faculty members. So the graduate program director, who should really be your first point of contact, is Dr. Mei Si. You can email her at sim@rpi.edu. Your next points of contact could be the GSAS program director, Ben Chang, who you can reach at changb3@rpi.edu, or myself, the GSAS associate program director, Jim Malazita, who you can reach at malazj@rpi.edu. You can also find all of our contact information, all of our research interests, and our class offerings Games and Simulation Arts and Sciences homepage, which is at haas.rpi.edu/games and simulation arts and sciences, or just search for GSAS at RPI and you'll come across our website. And again, for any further questions about graduate education more broadly at Rensselaer, feel free to look at the Rensselaer Institute admission page at admissions.rpi.edu/graduate. And thank you very much. I hope this has been helpful. And again, please feel free to reach out to anyone on this slide for additional questions. We hope to see your applications.